This is Fleet and Footy on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, sponsored by a live credit union.
All right, we got a new show here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Stuart Weber here. Llerandi, who's never been on a camera before, apparently, has to wave his first time in.
Had to let everyone know that I'm here. I'm excited.
You are excited. I'm excited. We're all excited. We're pumped about this new opportunity here, a partnership between the Jacksonville Armada and Action Sports Jacks 24/7. We're calling it Fleet and Footy. I think the name is pretty self-explanatory. Fleet for the Jacksonville Armada, Footy for the entire world of soccer. And we'll certainly get into a lot of what's going on, what's the latest, what's happening with the Jacksonville Armada, with their under 23 teams, the summer squads that play, as well as the academies. And that's a really cool part of what they're doing right now. You know, it's kind of a dead time for the under 23s because they play in the summertime. But you have different teams at every age level working, improving, and hoping to one day get a chance to be on that team and then eventually a pro team right here in Northeast Florida. And that's all through the Jacksonville Armada system, through the Academy, the MLS Next Academy. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I wanted to kind of start this first edition as a little bit of an introduction for the folks who maybe don't know as much about me, don't know anything about you. We can certainly talk about our backgrounds in soccer and what has us here today talking about the Fleet and the Footy as we do it here on the show. Big Lou, welcome into the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be in the studio. It's something that I've wanted to do for a long time, was start some kind of an Armada show, and thanks to the people at Cox Media and a live credit union and Nathan Walter behind the scenes, it's been really an honor to be able to step in this position and be able to showcase the Armada, something that I've thought about and loved for 10 plus years now, which is amazing to really say.
Yeah, and obviously for most of the show, you're going to see the two of us on camera yapping and talking. We got Jason Hamby back there pushing all the buttons, so Hambone's getting involved with this thing. And really, there's a ton of people in the background who help make this happen. From, as you mentioned, the folks at a live credit union partnering with us on this show to really extend their reach in the community and their partnership with us in the Armada. Obviously, they sponsored all the broadcasts throughout the course of the summer. So we certainly appreciate their support. And then all the Armada folks in the background as well. Nathan Walter, who you mentioned. We'll have him on the show before too long. You'll get to hear his dulcet tones, and we will tell him to tone down the language. Of course, Englishmen, they speak like sailors sometimes. So we'll certainly have him on at some point to talk. Tommy Krasanovic, David Goff. We'll have all the different names that you know and love from the Jacksonville Armada and all these different levels on this show over the course of its existence. But today you get the two of us. You get me and Big Lou here to talk about the Armada. And I mentioned I kind of wanted to delve into our history and how we got started with not only the Fleet, but with the sport of soccer itself. For me, I grew up in a half European family. My mom is Dutch. So naturally, I played a lot of soccer growing up. That was my sport, right? And I played all the way through high school down at Palm Beach Gardens High School. I've famously said on our broadcast through the years, I was captain of the JV team my sophomore year. That was probably the peak, man, as far as on-field performance goes, and really that was just a leadership thing more so than the actual play, because
You're vocal.
Yeah, I was a good vocal leader in the back. I played defense, got a lot of fouls called against me. I wasn't the best touch on the ball, probably still am not, but I had a lot of fun, and no one ever out-hustled me, I will say that. And if they did, I took them down in the box sometimes. And so, these things happen. But that's a little bit about me and kind of my playing history. It's a long time ago at this point. That was over 20 years ago now. So long time ago that I actually played. Although I did try out for the Jacksonville Armada that first year. That was
2014.
2014. That was quite the experience. Now, this wasn't a true tryout, obviously. This was a for TV kind of deal, where send the sports reporter
It's not quite like when they put Peyton Manning in the helmet, right? And they have him go behind the scenes.
No. It was definitely, for TV kind of deal where they certainly wanted us to go give that a try and see what that would be like. And I will say this. So it was supposed to be like an hour session, right? And 30 minutes into it, it started like lightning and thunder. And I was just like, thank you. Because it was getting bad. It was getting embarrassing. I was getting exhausted from all the running around that we were doing. And so I did try out for the Jacksonville Armada, their inaugural year.
You got an appearance, I think, right?
I went straight to the booth. Straight to the booth at that point. And that is the cool thing is that, having been there since the beginning with the Armada and calling the radio broadcast the first however many years, and getting to be a part of some of those really awesome moments, right? I mean, you talk about the game inside the bank. We've talked about Jamal Johnson's goal so many times and, scoring so quickly in that first game and just having those experiences in that time in the baseball grounds and keeping that going, right? Through the years of the early years in the NASL to the what's happening kind of years to now having, a more firm future and knowing the path for this program and what lies ahead. So that's a little bit about me and my journey. Lou, you're a Northeast Florida boy through and through. You've been here for a minute. Tell the folks at home just a little bit about your connection with soccer and what has you sitting in the chair opposite me here.
Yeah, definitely. The people know a little bit more about Stuart than me, but I have been around the game basically, I like to say, my whole life. I really fell in love with the sport, 2010 World Cup. I think the combination of the Waka Waka song and Spain winning it all against, unfortunately, your Netherlands.
Don't be like that. Doesn't have to be like that. But we don't have to reference one of my international teams as a half Dutchman.
A truly great moment for national team for Spain, and that's when I really fell in love with the sport and continued to follow it on from there, following Barcelona, West Ham, just trying to get involved any way I can. Armada popped up here in 2014, and I was hooked. Soccer in Jacksonville. Are you serious? It was awesome. Grew up in Fernandina Beach. Went to Fernandina Beach High School. That's where I played soccer, high school soccer. I think Stuart and I probably had about the same level. I also was JV sophomore year, a couple games, put me in there, a little super sub.
Did you wear the armband?
Maybe.
Did you or not?
No,
okay, then. Get out of here. We're not the same level.
But
Come on.
3-time district champion with Fernandina Beach High School, we'll say that. That's about all my soccer career goes to. But was a fan of the Armada when we were in the NASL. Was at that first game in the bank. Was at that game where Mishak Jerome put one top bins against Orlando City. Kaká put one later on
don't worry about
frame, but we won't talk about that.
Mishak's was better.
Exactly. Got to see them play Boca Juniors at the baseball grounds. I mean, it's really been a cool experience when we were pro, and unfortunately, we aren't pro, and we're going back there. So I've gotten to really see the team progress from coming out of a league to joining a new league and being a part of that growth and getting to grow the sport in Jacksonville and being a part of something that I really care about because I've been around for so long, something that I've wanted to see happen for a long time in Jacksonville. And now I've been doing social media and communications for the team for the past 3 to 4 years, and I've enjoyed every second of it, getting to travel around the Southeast, doing the NPSL team, now the WPSL team, which I was super pumped about, had a great year. And now we're here, Stuart, and now this is one of my favorite things that I get to do is talk about sports. I get to do it for JU Soccer. I call the men and women's games for JU on ESPN+. And now I get to talk even more soccer with you.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. And we'll talk a little college soccer here on today's show. Obviously, a big game coming up on Saturday night at Hodges Stadium, a place the Armada are very familiar with from over the years. But the UNF men's soccer team, the Ospreys, playing an ASUN Conference Championship game. We'll get into that a little bit later on. But we can kind of start by talking about this past summer, right? And what the Jacksonville Armada was up to. And it was a new look, right? We added a team for the first time in a long time. You had the Armada men's under-23 squad playing in the MPSL, another successful season for the boys in blue. And it was really cool to be able to call all these games here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Played our games, both the playoff games at Edward Waters, the regular season games at JU, and quite a few excellent goals. That was a beauty right there. We had a lot of goals against Miami Dutch Lions in that game, but it was a fun time this summer. And what's really been cool is seeing a lot of the same names keep coming back for this men's under 23 team. For those who aren't familiar with the MPSL, the U23, what that means, what that looks like, well, that's mostly college kids or some younger kids. We had some even not even at the high school level or college level yet, but mostly college kids tuning up, right? Getting reps, getting minutes, getting a chance to improve on their game in the summertime when normally they wouldn't be doing anything. So we were able to feature players, not just locally with a lot of JU and UNF guys, but really from all over the country. And head coach Tommy Krzanovich and his staff have done a really good job of fostering those relationships and building that roster to have talented kids, men, under 23 guys from all over the country come to Jacksonville and to compete really in one of the most competitive divisions in all of the MPSL. The talent down here in this area of the country is tremendous in the Southeast, especially Florida, and we've been able to compete against those teams for a while now. And Coach Krzanovich has really built something there.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how Tommy K builds his squads for this league, because you only have such a short season. You have to really sell these guys on, hey, come down to Jacksonville, believe in our system, believe in what we do, and you'll have fun. We'll win games. And the way Tommy does it is, just like you mentioned, you got some UNF guys on there, you got some Flagler guys, you got some JU guys. Those are the local college kids, but you also got kids from Jacksonville or from St. Augustine who come back home for the summer and want to continue playing. They want to show their coaches, hey, maybe I can start next year for my college squad. Or, hey, maybe I can just get more minutes out there to show these recruits and whoever I might want to go pro next. And then, just like you mentioned a little bit earlier, those academy guys, those younger guys who are in high school making appearances. I got to shout out Ryan Paul, who was an animal last year and is doing fantastic on the U19s this year for the MLS Next team. It's just really intriguing to see how Krzanovich builds his squad every year. And like you mentioned, he brings back those players. The players buy into the culture. They buy in to what we provide, what we put out. And I think that's, in part to the coaching staff. I think that's in part to the front office and especially the fans. I think there's not really a level, at this level, there's not really a fandom like you see Section 904 and with the Jacksonville Armada in general. I think it's a really special thing we have here.
Yeah, we'll have no shortage of shout-outs to the guys and gals of Section 904 who do a tremendous job of supporting both the men's and women's teams for the Armada. And heck, they've been coming out to some of the academy games as well, haven't they?
It's been really cool to see, and I think the boys appreciate it too. It's something that, a lot of these guys did come to the summer games just to check it out and see, some of their friends are on the team. They just want to see. And I think they see that and they go, I want to play for that. I want to play with people cheering my name and chanting for me. And I think it's a really cool, special thing what they do. They text me and they say, hey, what's the schedule looking like this weekend? And it's really fun to be able to see them out there and talk to those people every single time. And it really just builds a community. The players appreciate it. They go over and they clap after the game. It's really, really nice.
By the way, if you're seeing our screen, you can see that you can actually join us in this conversation and chat. Shout out to Nathan Walter. We mentioned his name a little earlier. Of course, team president tuning in here and getting involved. So if you have topics you want to talk about, if you have comments about the Fleet and the Armada, you're welcome to jump in the chat either on X or on YouTube, or I think we're on Twitch as well. We're on all the Action Sports Jacks social platforms. So chime in and we will certainly bring up the conversation and keep it going. And let's keep the conversation going. We certainly mentioned the men's team. I want to talk a little bit about the women's team. For the first time, the Jacksonville Armada bringing out a women's under-23 squad. And how cool was it to have that group of young ladies, again, talking local players from...
Watch this.
Oh, God, that Chloe Chivers goal was just tremendous.
I had to interrupt you there.
It was tremendous. It was... it was goal of the season, I think, certainly, and it happened relatively early in the season as well. There you go. There's a look at Section 904.
That was that historic first home match for the girls.
Yeah, and just what a free kick by the Welsh striker. Love to see it. So, so let's talk a little bit about the women's team and what they accomplished in laying a foundation, Lewis, in this first year.
Yeah, Coach Goffey came in, Coach David Goff, should I say. We all call him Goffey. I will be referring to him as Goffey now. So Goffey really had a limited time to put this squad together. This all really came to fruition a little later than I think we all hoped. And he had to, once again, like Tommy Krzanovich, had to make these girls buy in on something. It's a little different, just like I mentioned earlier. We do things a little bit different at the Armada. We want to build that culture. And the WPSL is always looked at as a summer league, kind of looked down on, not as highly as the NPSL. And we wanted to make these girls know that, hey, we believe in you guys. The city believes in you guys. This is a big deal. Once again, a lot of the girls from Jacksonville, a lot of local girls, and a lot of high school girls, actually. Got to shout out Llerandi Bauer, who, if I'm not mistaken, was 14 years old, 15 years old, playing for the Armada, against some girls who in the WPSL and NPSL are not under 23 leagues. We run the teams like that, but these leagues are not under 23, so she could be playing against a 30-year-old woman, which I think is fantastic for her development. But yeah, the women's team was awesome this year. It was so cool to be able to see a squad literally be built from the ground up. I know we talked about Tommy Krzanovich being able to bring players back, and that's because we have those connections. We've built those connections throughout the years with different players in different schools. But Goffey, who's had a great coaching career himself, who's made those connections, was able to be like, hey, I'm building something special in Jacksonville. We're building something special in Jacksonville, and we want you to be a part of it. And a lot of those girls who play for big top schools, I think Maggie Mace came from Coastal Carolina, came back home, and there was a couple girls like that who were only from UNF, JU, Flagler, but were able to come back and enjoy home and enjoy some soccer while they were at it.
Shout out to Julia Cox jumping in on the chat there, loving this segment. Yeah, and you mentioned it right in there just about Goffey and what he has done. I mean, he, like you said, he kind of had to come in late and really assemble this thing and put this thing together. First year, really to try and establish a bit of a foundation and what it would look like moving forward. Well, the past few weeks, he kept pretty busy, right? I mean, he goes and coaches a youth team at the highest level, the English national team.
It was a fantastic thing to see. Goffey was on the coaching squad for the Lionesses, the U17 women's team. They just played the World Cup in the Dominican Republic, which I think is a fantastic place to play the World Cup.
Sure.
Maybe we can get an NPSL team or an MLS Next Pro team out there. That'd be great.
Remember the days of Puerto Rico in the NASL?
I wish I could have gone on one of those away games.
Carmelo Anthony. I had to call all the away games from here in Jacksonville, so I didn't get to go to any road trips, unfortunately. That would have been a good one to go
Section
to.
904 talks fondly of those away trips.
I'm sure, Puerto Rico, awesome.
The Mofongo, I could have had some of that.
I don't know if Carmelo was at any of the games, though. But yeah, so Goffey.
He was put up to the task. England called him up, and they said, we want your services. He was able to bring this squad all the way to a fourth place finish. They ended up playing the biggest and baddest teams, I guess you could say, in women's youth soccer. Played Spain, United States, North Korea, who ended up winning the whole entire tournament. And it was just awesome to be able to watch it from afar and know that, hey, Goffey's on the sideline, and I get to watch him coach for the U17s. And, seeing him over the summer, he's such a good man-to-man manager, or man-to-woman manager, I guess you could say. The girls love him. He's so good at video analysis. For a man that knows nothing about technology, he can analyze videos like no other. It is amazing to watch him sit down and go one-on-one and be able to explain just everything. It really is.
That was part of your job, right? Is kind of helping set that stuff up a little bit?
Hook up the HDMI cord, edit some video, every once in a while. I love helping him out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's take a quick time out here. We've got our debut episode of Fleet and Footy. As mentioned, we're going to talk a lot about the Jacksonville Armada. We're going to get into the academy teams next and exactly what is an academy team. What does that mean? What are they doing? What are they up to? We'll certainly get into them, and they have a huge weekend coming up, and a great chance for people to come out and support the next generation of players right here in Northeast Florida. You're watching Fleet and Footy right here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Imagine a brokerage platform that gives agents the flexibility to move between comp plans so that they can spend their entire career in one place while earning stock and recruiting other agents. And imagine the entire enterprise is created and backed by a proven industry innovator. Now imagine this platform already exists. Imagine you own this platform. Imagine how large you can grow, how much revenue share you could earn. Just imagine.
Get local sports on demand with Action Sports Jacks 24/7. All sports, all local, all the time. From the locker room to the field, the Jacks, high school football, the Jacksonville Armada, and don't forget, the Brett and Austin Show. They're all in on Trevor. Of course. Download the Action News Jacks Now app, available wherever you stream or at actionnewsjacks.com. TV, phone, laptop, desktop. Action Sports Jacks 24/7. Jacksonville sports, all the time.
Building off a summer of terrific action at Southern Oaks Stadium, the Jacksonville Armada are looking forward to the future and the return of pro soccer in Northeast Florida. Season ticket reservations for MLS Next Pro are underway, and for just $100, you can lock in some great benefits when it comes to supporting the boys in blue. Those who make a reservation will have first selection options in the new Armada Stadium out east, near Jacksonville's downtown sporting complex, as well as access to supporter VIP events like stadium tours, open training sessions, and future meet and greets with players and coaches. You can make your season ticket reservations at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket. And while you're there, read the very latest on the Armada men's and women's teams in action this summer. Show your commitment to the Fleet with an MLS Next Pro season ticket reservation at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket.
This is Fleet and Footy on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, sponsored by Alive Credit Union.
And welcome back to Fleet and Footy, the newest show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. We're going to be doing this every Thursday at 2 o'clock. 2 to 3 o'clock is when you can check it out. It'll replay it multiple other times throughout the course of the week.
Fleet and
But
Footy on the Action
we're
Sports
going to start it
Jacks
off
24/7 network, sponsored
right
by
here
Alive Credit Union.
at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. We love that open so much. We like to run it and let you see it.
Shout out Tim Broderick for making that logo. Great logo.
Yeah, Tim Broderick, as well as our Action News Jacks team, collaborating. It's all about collaborations in this business. And shout out to Tommy Krasanovich jumping in on the chat there with the little hashtag lads. That's us. We're the lads here to talk about
Of course.
the Fleet and Footy for you. But yeah, this is the newest show every Thursday, 2 o'clock. And as mentioned, moving forward, we're gonna bring in more profiles, more interviews, more things to get you in touch with the Armada, get to know the players, the coaches, and what's going on with the team at every level. And we say every level because, yes, we know the under-23 teams play in the summertime, and that's the time that we really go heavy and follow them quite a bit. Right now, it's their off-season, but it's not the off-season for the Armada. Lewis, tell us a little bit about the teams that are in action right now.
It's definitely not the off-season for the Armada, okay? We've got basically 3 Armada teams going right now, and those will run from basically the school year, from August all the way to May, in the MLS Next League, which is MLS's Academy League.
Not to be confused with MLS Next Pro.
Which those guys would hopefully love to be able to make that jump up, and we're excited to have this bottom part of the pyramid in place now before we have the pro team. So these guys are able to, like I said before, just be in the Armada culture, just be around it and know what we expect from them and know how to be a pro. And if they want to go off to college, they go off to college. And it's really cool and exciting to see these young men grow up. And you see them in the 23 season. So if you guys do ever want to check out a game, come down and you might see them in the summer as well. It's been a really, really interesting season. We've built the academy from the ground up once again, and it's been awesome to see how successful we've been in such a short amount of time. The U19s are absolutely killing it right now.
And so you mentioned 3 different teams. So U19, U17, and U16. Shout out Rachel Myers jumping in on Facebook.
Now that MLS Next academies do go all the way down to U13, that is the plan eventually, to have those younger teams. Starting out with 3 right now, it's been a blast so far.
And this is, again, I'm going to use the word collaboration a lot because we do, but this is really a partnership with Jacksonville FC and kind of using their groups that they have and their established tradition in some of these levels, and then bringing it together for the 16, 17, 19.
Yeah, so it's been really exciting to be able to collaborate with a lot of these, what we like to call affiliate academies, between Jacksonville FC, Ancient City SC, CH4, Chonto Herrera, his academy up in North
I'll
Jacksonville.
let you say that every time instead of me. That's
a Colombian legend,
better.
Chonto, you know. It's been really fun to be able to work with these organizations, and they see the vision, they understand where the game is going in Jacksonville, and they want to be a part of it and be a part of the Armada. So we're able to look at these players from all around these academies, scout them. They get to tell us, hey, this kid's coming up pretty good. And MLS Next is the highest level of academy play in the United States. So if you want to be a young soccer star in the United States, you're going to MLS Next. And then if you want to be a young soccer star playing professional in the United States, MLS Next Pro is the league. The average league age, player age in the league is just under 22 years old. And you're starting to see more and more scouts scouting MLS Next Pro rather than some of the other lower leagues in the United States.
Yeah, and you see these international teams kind of snatching up some of these top players too, right? They're seeing guys that they think would maybe fit in their system, and they're signing them. You know, they're picking them up and saying, "Okay, come over here, come play in Germany, England, wherever, and come bring your talent over here to Europe." Now, eventually, you'd like it to be where they are able to stay and continue to work their way up through the system, and they're getting there. They're moving forward more and more. Let's talk about the schedule here for this weekend, and we'll start with the game on Saturday. So Saturday is the under-17 team taking on Inter Miami, and we mentioned the fact that these are the top teams, as you see here, a little graphic for you. 4:30 is the kickoff. That game at Patton Park. These are the top teams in the country. So these are MLS teams. They are also fielding squads at these U19, 17, 16, all the way down levels. And that means the Armada take on Inter Miami this weekend. Now, Messi's not starting for that team, right?
Unfortunately not.
Is that correct?
Unfortunately not, but his son does play in the U13 MLS Next team for Inter Miami. So just like you mentioned, I mean, these are kids who are number one in, South Florida, Central Florida, and we'd like to be number one in North Florida. Obviously, number one in Florida would be fantastic, but a massive, massive game against Inter Miami, a very, very good club. I think maybe one of the more well-known clubs now in MLS. But the U17s are definitely going to have a tough task ahead of them. It's going to be really interesting to see how we come up against these top-tier MLS Next academies.
Yeah, that'll be a great test, and we can transition to the Sunday matchups because on Sunday, it's our old friends from right down the road at the House of Mouse, Orlando City. 2 big games against Orlando City. Obviously, you saw the U17s take on Miami, while the U16s and the U19s are going to take on the folks from Orlando City. And really that U19 one is one to circle because you mentioned it. The U19s have been among the best in the state of Florida. As you take a look at the times right there on the screen, it's 10:30 a.m. for the U19s, 12:30 p.m. for the U16s. So a great chance to go check out more top-level soccer and these two teams going against each other. We've had some good battles with Orlando City over the years. If you look back to the U.S. Open Cup days in the NASL and being able to have some friendlies against Orlando City. So it's really cool that it's kind of back, blue versus purple here coming up on Sunday.
If I'm not mistaken, the last time technically the Armada and Orlando City played each other was in that U.S. Open Cup game you just mentioned. It was at JU, at the Oak, and it was a heck of a game. I was there. I remember annoying Breck Shea behind the little fence right there at JU. But yeah, Orlando City, just like you mentioned, the U19 team is going to have a tough time, and you want to know why? It's because of the MLS Next Pro season just ending. These guys who play in these academies do play pro. They play for these pro teams. So the MLS Next Pro season, like we'll mention later on in today's broadcast, is done. So all these kids are coming back now, and they still want playing time. They still want to play. And so the 19s who have lost, I want to say, one match, will definitely have their hands full. Orlando City produces talent like no other. They like to steal our talent here in Jacksonville. So we're excited to have the academy around now that we can keep all the talent in Jacksonville, keep the talent in North Florida. But it's going to be an awesome game. All three of these games are at Patton Park, and they're free to enter.
Free, you say?
There's no payment to enter Patton Park, and the U19 game, the Section NF4 will be out there for sure. So there'll definitely be some chanting, there'll be some banners. I'm sure they'll have a little bit of fun.
Banners and banter, right?
Of course.
Always. All right, so that's a little bit about the academy teams, and as mentioned, we're going to feature profiles and weekly recaps on everybody, talking about the under 19, the academy teams and how they look over the course of this summer moving forward. We'll certainly talk a lot more about them as the year goes along, as Fleet and Footy goes along right here on the show. All right, let's turn our attention now to the college game. We mentioned how this under 23 squad over the course of this past summer feature a lot of players from JU, from UNF. Well, the college season is reaching the postseason. It's playoff time, and there is a big game coming up here Saturday night. Probably about 300 yards from where we are right now inside the studio. We are right here, right near the UNF campus. So a big game at Hodges Stadium here on Saturday night. And by the way, UNF got a little bit of a spot in the limelight here recently with an appearance in the top 10. You're taking a look at it here. They made it in the Sports Center number 2. Got to number 2. Watch Joaquin Acuna here, right there. The bicycle kick in. That was his second goal of the night. This was a big semifinal game, and they picked up the win. They did it in dramatic fashion there, taking care of business. You saw it from Joaquin Acuna. But now they get ready for another challenge, and that's the ASUN Championship game, which, fortunately enough, they get to host. And so that's going to be a big game here Saturday night at Hodges Stadium as they'll play host to Central Arkansas, a team they lost to in the regular season finale. So you better believe those players are going to be smart, and they're going to want to go out there and get a little revenge. But huge moment coming for UNF this weekend.
Absolutely massive. The ASUN, especially on the men's side, is super, super competitive, really tight. Anyone can beat anyone, especially this year. I followed the ASUN very closely, obviously being the color commentator for Jacksonville University, but followed UNF just as close, was at that game that you just saw. An absolutely wonderful goal from Joaquin Acuna. But it's been really impressive to see what UNF is building year one under this head coach.
Yeah, Jamie Davies taking over as the new head coach there, only the third head coach in a 30-plus year history of that program over at UNF, so very cool, by the way. Programming note for you. He's going to join the Brent and Austin show here on Friday, so Brent and Austin, you can catch it every weekday, 10 to 1 o'clock. I'm sure you folks at home know that. If you're watching our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 stream, we have shows 24/7, as the name certainly does imply. Brent and Austin show will have Coach Davies on Friday, previewing that big matchup between the Ospreys and Central Arkansas. Mighty Central Arkansas, the Bears.
I mean, UNF has absolutely turned it up in this last half of the season. I know the girls' team went almost undefeated at home, and the boys' team has held down Hodges pretty well. So it's going to be an exciting matchup. I'm really intrigued to see how it'll punch out. And if UNF wins the ASUN, I want to say it'll be the first time since 2016 they win the conference championship.
Yeah,
it'd be amazing.
So big time, and spot in the NCAA championship on the line, that automatic qualifier spot. So you keep an eye on that, and you certainly hope that they're able to have a good matchup here on Saturday. And look, that's nothing new for Northeast Florida. When you look at the amount of talent, the talent that we have locally at the high school level, it translates, right? Not only to under 16, 17, 19 teams through the MLS Next Academy, but also through the college programs, especially with UNFJU. Got to mention Flagler, got to mention Edward Waters with their women's program getting off the ground here a couple of years ago. So you have these local opportunities, and then you look just a couple hours away. I mean, you have one of the best teams in the country in Florida State. And the Florida Gators, a little bit of a dip at the moment, but trying to work their way back up into prominence when it comes to the women's soccer team over there in Gainesville. So you're seeing these college programs succeed, and a lot of that is because you're getting these top players from places like Northeast Florida, and the high school season just getting underway here locally. So certainly something to keep an eye on there as we move forward with the high school season. We'll talk more high school soccer, and we'll give the guys and gals their due as their season rolls on. Just a couple weeks into it right now as high school football wraps up, which takes up a whole lot of our time here at Action Sports Jacks 24/7, without a doubt. But that's why we design programs like this, like Fleet and Footy, to be able to give us an opportunity to get into, well, all the other sports in our area. And Fleet and Footy talking all sorts of soccer here in Northeast Florida. Stuart Weber here with Lewis Llerandi. If you're just jumping in and joining us, we'll talk all levels of soccer, certainly from MLS. I know you certainly people want to talk about USL. That's another option here in the United States. Talk about MLS Next Pro, and we keep an eye on all of it. I know USL, I believe, is into its playoffs right now as another one of those lower leagues here in the area. We obviously had our playoff run in the summertime with NPSL. It's really an interesting thing when you talk about soccer in the United States, where it's kind of all over the map on the timing of things, right? So many of these leagues are running in a traditional American calendar where, you start at the beginning of the year, you end around now. And I feel like that throws some people off because you think about the global soccer calendar and it's completely different. It's that August to May. I mean, you mentioned it with the MLS Next guys, the school year calendar, as it were. Although I do feel like in professional soccer, the offseason just gets shorter and shorter and shorter.
Well, then they have the international tournaments in the summer now.
Then they come to Jacksonville. I mean, yeah, we had it with West Ham and Wolves coming here and having that game at the bank. It's just so wild how it's become this year-round thing. I'm not mad about it as somebody who's now here on the show to be able to talk about it for an hour a week, certainly on Fleet and Footy. But it is interesting the way that works. Do you see a time when maybe some of these top leagues in the U.S. try to switch to that different calendar?
It's actually funny that you say that because it is coming up in conversation, I think, more and more and more, like you said, because of the schedule congestion. You're not just seeing it from people over in the United States, the MLS players, but you're seeing it from people overseas, from coaches overseas in Europe being like, hey, this is just too much. My players, it's too much. And so it's been interesting to see the talking and the rumblings. Even in NCAA, they're thinking about extending the season, not just having that. They have a spring season, but it's a lot of friendlies. Doesn't really count for anything. They want to extend that season from fall to spring, which I think would be a great thing for U.S. soccer. That's the reason why our U.S. women's team is so good, is because of U.S. college soccer. We had the infrastructure here built first. And so I think you're going to see MLS, NCAA, MLS Next Pro maybe look at this and be like, hey, maybe we should switch over to the European calendar. That's what everyone else does. And you get to see it in some weird spots in the MLS season where they've got so much going on. There's an international break, but there's also an MLS Cup game, or the Gold Cup is going on during an MLS rivalry week.
How weird is it to think that you get into the playoffs, right, in the MLS, and now you're in a break. Now you have an international break. You got to take a few weeks off. You got to have your players go play in these CONCACAF League games.
And maybe get hurt. Maybe, I think that's what a lot of these fans worry about. That's what a lot of these teams worry about, is now the schedule congestion. I think MLS plays 34 games, and that's not including U.S. Open Cup. That's not including Leagues Cup. That's not including CONCACAF Champions League.
There's a lot of leagues.
Yep, that's not including the new FIFA Club World Cup, which 2 MLS teams will be a part of this year for the first time. So just the schedule congestion, as it gets more and more, I think you might see, hey, let's get on the European calendar at least to get on step one. And I think you'll start to see these games get less and less and less.
It's interesting because it's not a problem faced by really any other sport. Like, you look at every other sport, I mean, basketball, maybe you have your guys going off to play for an international team, but like even that's rotating on the NBA schedule.
Baseball,
that's not, you're not taking a break halfway through the NBA season to go send your guy to go play for the Eurobasket.
Well, now you're seeing with baseball, these managers getting really mad at their players because they're going to the World Baseball Classic and injuring themselves, But like that falls outside the realm of the entire season, right? That comes before the season. But I mean, shoot, NBA's trying to do it with the in-season tournament.
it's just so wild to think that, okay, but if you're a top level soccer player, you not only have a second team that you're playing for, but then you have all these other leagues that they play, all these different matches that you have to worry about with your schedule. And yeah, it's a debate. It's a topic of conversation.
Yeah.
It will always be a topic of conversation, and certainly a big one here in the U.S. All right, we're going to talk a little bit more about the MLS and those playoffs and your team that you like to support just bowing out early in the playoffs. Messi, what happened, man?
¿Qué pasa, Messi? ¿Qué pasa?
What happened down there? Unbelievable. All right, we're going to get into that coming up next right here on Fleet and Footy. By the way, we also have a goal of the month coming up for the Academy team. We're going to come back with that and so much more right here on Fleet and Footy. You're watching the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers. And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Imagine a brokerage platform that gives agents the flexibility to move between comp plans so that they can spend their entire career in one place while earning stock and recruiting other agents. And imagine the entire enterprise is created and backed by a proven industry innovator. Now imagine this platform already exists. Imagine you own this platform. Imagine how large you can grow, how much revenue share you could earn. Just imagine.
Get local sports on demand with Action Sports Jacks 24/7. All sports, all local, all the time. From the locker room to the field, the Jacks, high school football, the Jacksonville Armada, and don't forget, the Brett and Austin Show. They're all in on Trevor. Of course. Download the Action News Jacks Now app, available wherever you stream or at actionnewsjacks.com. TV, phone, laptop, desktop. Action Sports Jacks 24/7. Jacksonville sports, all the time.
Building off a summer of terrific action at Southern Oaks Stadium, the Jacksonville Armada are looking forward to the future and the return of pro soccer in Northeast Florida. Season ticket reservations for MLS Next Pro are underway, and for just $100, you can lock in some great benefits when it comes to supporting the boys in blue. Those who make a reservation will have first selection options in the new Armada Stadium out east, near Jacksonville's downtown sporting complex, as well as access to supporter VIP events like stadium tours, open training sessions, and future meet and greets with players and coaches. You can make your season ticket reservations at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket. And while you're there, read the very latest on the Armada men's and women's teams in action this summer. Show your commitment to the fleet with an MLS Next Pro season ticket reservation at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket.
This is Fleet and Footy on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Sponsored by Alive Credit Union.
All right, we're bringing you back with the goal of the month. Sorry, I like doing that. That's Corey Hudgens with the team taking on IMG Academy, and just an awesome long-range blast there into the upper 90. Lewis, tell me a little bit about Corey Hudgens and this October goal of the month for the Armada Academy team.
Corey's a player now, all right? He plays down that left-hand wing, right-hand wing, wherever Coach Elmar Bolowich tells him to play, and he really does hustle.
On the Action Sports
It's impressive
Jacks
to see him play.
24/7 network.
Run up and down
Sponsored
that
by
wing.
Alive Credit Union.
Out for Ryan Paul, who was a player that we just mentioned earlier from the squad. But it's been awesome to see these guys really step into this U19 team and make it their own. It's a brand new team. I know we like to say, yeah, it's JFC, but no, this is a brand new team. A lot of new kids on the team, a lot of kids that tried out, and these boys really want to make it their own. And I think They are. They're following the Armada way. Those culture points that Tommy and Elmar are instilling, I think they're really getting it now, and it's been a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, so Elmar coaches the under-19 team, Tommy the 16s and 17s. How aligned are they in the way that program, those teams run, and really trying to keep that similar style, right, from one level to the next, so these kids, jump into the next one and they're still doing the same thing they were doing before?
Well, I mean, Elmar has an impressive track record. Coach Bolowich was coached at UNC Chapel Hill, George Mason, and now retired in Jacksonville, but wants to still continue coaching. And so he's able to instill his knowledge, not just in the players, but I think just in general on the staff, on Tommy as well. And I think him and Tommy work very well together. I mean, Tommy obviously played in Germany, so there's that little connection there. And
I've watched a game in Germany.
Well, that's close enough.
Similar, right? I was in the stands for one. I ate a giant pretzel. That was great at Bayern Munich.
You have a Wiener Schnitzel?
No, I just had the giant pretzel, the Bretzen.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, that's good.
But it's been really cool to watch them work together. Tommy Krzanovich is the academy director, so he's able to oversee all these players. I know he's not coaching the U19s, but he knows what they're up to. He knows what they're doing. He's able to talk to college coaches and recruits about them.
And you said he coached some of them on the under-23 team.
Yes.
Over the course of the summertime. Shout out to the chat. Daniel Johnson jumping in there. Of course, one of the main cogs of Section 904. Wondering if the footy can compete with the pointy football fans. Basically, when we were talking about that different timeline, right, of the sport, how does it compete with the folks who love American football, the football here in the United States? And yes, the trend to soccer-specific stadiums means less facility conflicts. So that has been a nice trend that we've seen in the sport, is less teams playing in giant baseball or giant football stadiums and having to convert baseball stadiums. Exactly. And I remember the days of playing inside the baseball grounds. Now, it was what the team needed at the time, right? As far as the concessions go, as far as being downtown, as far as having the infrastructure built with the parking lots and everything that comes around with it. But it's tough. It's tough when
we'll be back down there soon. We'll be back down there soon.
When you've got this not the baseball grounds, but at our own stadium, yes. When you talk about this tight little field that's compressed into a different dimensions than you're used to. And it was certainly not fun in the broadcast booth because we were behind home plate. So that means we're the furthest you could possibly be from the opposite side of the field. For some of those corner kicks was rough. But that's me. That's my problem.
Well,
not your problem.
MLS team NYCFC plays in Yankee Stadium. As we go and we touch on some of the playoffs
so bad
here
every time I see it
in MLS.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been insane. NYCFC made an upset. Now they play New York Red Bulls in this conference quarterfinal, in the Eastern Conference quarterfinal. And on the other side of the bracket,
it's a derby, right?
Yeah, New York derby,
Big Apple derby.
And if I'm not mistaken, they're playing that game in Citi Field because of field issues once again.
Yeah.
And the other Eastern Conference teams, like we just touched on, Orlando and Atlanta play each other, and Atlanta being the team to bounce out Lionel Messi and Inter Miami.
Yeah, so Atlanta, the last team in on that side of the bracket as the 9 seed. They get through on PKs from the wild card round, and then they go and beat Messi. How did that happen? So now, full disclaimer, you are a season ticket holder down in Miami.
This is true.
Even though you live in Jacksonville.
Yes.
How many times did you make that drive this season?
I only missed 2 regular season games.
So you're driving down to Miami a lot.
Yeah, quite a bit. Luckily, I've got some family down there who let me crash with them. But it's been a really cool thing to see.
Did you rack up a lot of Sun Pass bills?
I did. Okay. I got a lot of pastelitos, ate a lot of Argentinian food, a lot of cafecitos. But it's been
You're
really...
just bragging that you can do accents and I can't, aren't you? I think you are.
I'm just bragging that I like food, I love food.
All right.
It was really cool to be able to see that team. I mean, you're talking about the biggest names in football, possibly. And growing up a Barcelona fan and growing up as an Argentinian Spaniard, it's awesome to see Luis Suarez, Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba, and of course the GOAT, Lionel Messi.
So every game was a sellout, right, this year?
Yeah, it's Miami, so
they still didn't have a sellout every game.
Well, you got to remember, ticket prices are quite steep. They keep them there, and it's and people pay. I mean, the people pay. It's a really good atmosphere. I mean, really, really South Florida atmosphere. You got the parrilladas out front cooking up, and it's really cool to see South Florida almost finally accept MLS culture. MLS has been trying to get to that market for so long, and I mean, it took the greatest player of all time to be able to break through, and now they're building the stadium in 2025.
You mean the Miami Fusion didn't do it? No?
They did, and not the Fusion of Valderrama. Shout out Carlos Valderrama. But no, it was an absolute. It's been the biggest upset in MLS playoff history. Just statistically, it is.
Well, because I think Miami, they had the best regular season ever. Or close.
They had the best regular season ever. Most points ever by an MLS team. It was 74, beating out previous record of 73 by the New England Revolution, who they beat in that last day to take their record. But in this,
what good that did
in this new MLS playoff format, like you see, a lot can happen. Miami wins that first game 2-1 at home. But it's 2 out of 3. It's like we're playing a baseball wild card here. So
it's an interesting format because it's very different than anything you get in soccer.
Exactly,
Especially so often you get a home and away. You get the 2-leg tie. You get that, but it's the best 2 out of 3 is different.
The stakes are higher. Miami ends up going back to Mercedes-Benz Dome and loses it on the turf. They lose it in pens and. So, they lose it late, really late. The next game, they go back to Miami, and unfortunately, I was there for that one. And Brad Guzan, I mean, has been just the bane of my existence as a soccer fan since I've watched MLS. And he came up huge, and Messi only got one past him. Atlanta win it in the end, and it was definitely a tough thing to watch. Spending so much time down there and investing so much of my emotion into the team.
Yeah, not just emotion.
Just emotion, and it was a lot of fun. It was definitely fun.
All right, well, reminder: you can watch Inter Miami for free on Saturday as the under-17 Inter Miami comes to town here to take on our Armada Academy that on Saturday. Next round, by the way, of the MLS playoffs, still a week and a half out. So we'll talk about it more next week as we get ready for the next round. But we do want to talk a little bit about MLS Next Pro. And certainly that's that next level down from MLS and really just the future of the game in MLS and all these different MLS teams have their academy teams, but you also have independent teams. Well, they held their playoffs and they got to their championship game, and you're taking a look at it right here in stoppage time. Philadelphia Union 2 playing down a man after they had a red card at the 2-2 mark, and wow,
lovely
what a
finish.
way to call game, huh?
Pedrinho, who also had a goal in the quarterfinal and possibly the semifinal, came up huge there for North Texas. And North Texas, we talked about it before the show, a perennial team within this league.
And they had the best. So unlike Miami in the MLS, they had the best record in the regular season, and they followed through by winning the playoff bracket. Huh? I'm just saying, that's how it's supposed to generally go.
And it was a really fun time watching these playoffs. If you don't know anything about MLS Next Pro, it's a little bit different. They do things a little bit different over there. No games can end in a tie, not just in playoffs, but regular season as well. So there's always got to be a winner on penalty kicks. So it's been really interesting to see how the league has been progressing and implementing these rules. And I like to see MLS try these different rules out to be able to see if they want to implement them within the first division. And this MLS Next Pro League is the league that the Armada will be joining.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Really exciting. I mean, high level of football.
It's really cool to see the ideas and the plans that, Charles Altchek, commissioner of that league, the way they want to take this thing and the way they want to incorporate all these independent teams into this academy system and these teams, these 2 teams, as they call them, from the MLS squads. It's going to be really cool to see it develop. Now, as with everything in the world of American soccer, it feels a little glacial at times, right? It feels like it's going to take a little while, but certainly getting there and pushing forward and moving forward, and excited to see the way that goes. Shout out to William Torres in the chat. U.S. Soccer tonight versus Jamaica.
It's like he knew our next segment.
It's like he knew it. It's like he knew it's on the sheet that we were getting to that next. I do want to mention, by the way, that there is a watch party at Voodoo Brewing Company in San Marco. So you can certainly go and check out the game with fellow U.S. men's national team supporters. Go see what they're all about. and check it out at Voodoo Brewing Company tonight at San Marco. But let's talk about that game tonight, Jamaica. And, we're in a new era of the red, white, and blue, Lou.
You like to say a big game, but this is a Nations League game. We like a glorified friendly tournament, which the United States has won the only editions of and the past 3 editions of. So
you better win it this time.
Exactly. It's not something that you want to lose. Pochettino, I think, is going into his tenure almost taking this like this is a 12-month preseason, 16-month preseason up until this 2026 World Cup. I think you're going to see him try out a lot of different players. You're going to try to see him flip some players from different nationalities. And it's going to be interesting to see once these players do finally buy in, because I don't know if you watch that Mexico game where that was Pochettino's second game in charge, we looked flat. And the game before that, we beat Panama, but also another very flat game. I think you're going to see the boys maybe finally buy in. Maybe Pochettino is going to be able to instill his tactics properly, but this is the most excited I've been about U.S. soccer in a long time. Maybe because the coach is Argentinian, but I'm really excited to see where this goes. It's the most talented squad we've had. You're seeing Christian Pulisic fire on all cylinders in Europe, and this 2026 World Cup is going to change a lot for U.S. soccer.
It is, and you certainly hope it has that impact, right? And it gets people energized about the game, and it gets that young generation energized about that game and wanting to get involved with it and push forward. So, really excited to see that one tonight. U.S. men's national team taking on Jamaica.
Steve McLaren versus Mauricio Pochettino. A little bit of EPL almost. So EPL head coach versus EPL head coach. Should be interesting. Jamaica's flipped a lot of guys. Raheem Morrison, Antonio. So it'll be really interesting to see what the Reggae boys can do against the red, white, and blue.
You should write some like tease lines for this thing. Reggae boys versus the red, white, and blue. I like it. Again, American Outlaws watch party, Voodoo Brewing Company, San Marco tonight at 7. So go check it out with them. All right, we're just about done here on Fleet and Footy, but we have one more big topic that we wanted to get to, and you brought this one to my attention. And it's a story from the global world of soccer that you just have to hear to believe. And so, Big Lou, take it away. Tell him about this crazy incident happening in the world of soccer.
Yeah, so I'd like to start ending off these shows with a little bit of a weird soccer story from somewhere around the world. And this one came to me this week, and I knew immediately that I had to talk about it on the show. Almost involves me. I got into the Armada, involved first with live streaming FIFA, which is really interesting. But this story comes out of Argentina. A live streamer who plays Minecraft made an appearance for a first division team in Argentina. Now, if you know anything about Argentinian football, it's like church. It's sacred over there in Argentina. And you had a lot of people upset. This man's name, or his screen name, is Spreen. His real name is Ivan Bujarek. And he is a Minecraft streamer, one of the biggest streamers in Argentina, and I guess
not even like a soccer game. You're talking Minecraft.
Not even a soccer.
You're not building bricks out there on the field. What are we doing here?
No, and the whole tie-in on why this even happened is because the owner of the team that Spreen played for, part owns the jersey sponsor, which is an energy drink. And so they signed Spreen a couple months ago. People thought that was it. That was the publicity stunt. And nope, they put him on the field. He started a professional game in the first division in Argentina, came off after less than 60 seconds, and maybe caused some of the biggest uproar in Argentinian soccer in quite some time. The club eventually had to put out an apology, and the opposing club felt disrespected. They also put out a statement.
You're basically saying we care so little about you that we're going to waste a sub on this guy on the bench. That would be like the Armada starting you in a game.
I mean, it
could that happen?
You throw me up top for, I think, an end of a GSP game, I'll score a goal for you.
No, you won't. We're not throwing you in late. You would have to be at the beginning like this guy and come off right away, shamed and disgraced.
No, we go up after a couple goals, and you throw me on the pitch. I'll run around, and I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Yeah, you know what? Tommy Krasanovic is a great coach. He's not that good. He's not good enough to have you be able to score. Although, maybe in that Miami Dutch Lions playoff game, that's possible. All right, we are wrapping up our first edition of Fleet and Footy. I want to say thank you to everybody at home who's been watching and following along. And, hey, interact with us on social media at Stuart ASJax. Mine's pretty easy. At Lewis_Llerandi.
Those are 2 L's. In that
Two L's,
name.
not an I. Just one of them's silent. Which
In
one
Spanish, it's Llerandi, you know.
Yeah.
Drop an accent on you again.
Okay. Which one is silent? The first L or the second L?
They're both, I think.
Well, they can't both be silent. Anyhow, this is the sort of banner you can expect here on Fleet and Footy. We'll do it each and every Thursday. We leave you again with our goal of the month from Corey Hudgens. Fleet and Footy on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Thanks so much for watching.